hello, and welcome back. Oh, how much I have missed this mic. Welcome back to a brand new season on the Being Meraklis Podcast. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say for two reasons. One, I never dreamed that I would start a podcast where I share things about life and living openly until I really did. And two, once I started podcasting, I thought I'd never really need a break because life always goes on and there'll always be things to talk about. Well, I was wrong on both counts. I took an unplanned break when COVID hit home, but instead of being disappointed, I thought, here's my chance to do what I didn't do when I first launched my podcast. If you've heard the episodes before, you know that I woke up one day and recorded a demo podcast and got my show approved. I was having a bad month, and suddenly the words that I never knew I had in me started flowing with such effortless ease that I just about managed to capture it. But this time around, I wanted to give it a bit more thought. Why am I spending all this time and energy creating this podcast? Who is it for? And what can you gain out of it? And so what was supposed to be a week's delay ended up being a 2-month break. But I'm finally ready to share this 2.0 version with the world. Let's start with, why am I creating the podcast in the first place? When it comes to self-mastery, there are enough and more stories and information on how to get there. From your spiritual gurus like Sadhguru to Ramana Maharishi to your modern day monks of Robin Sharma, Jay Shetty, your business tycoons, there are many paths towards mastery shared through success stories of those who've made it. But all of those are stories shared in retrospection. What about the journeys of those of us who are still work in progress? The journey of those becoming. There is a lot more adventure in that journey because the verdict is still out. This is not a Disney movie that begins with the happy ending. Probably 1% of us might make the cut of arriving at our successes. But for the remaining 99% of us, becoming is the life and success. So why not glorify and shine a light on what being a work in progress towards becoming our best versions looks like? You see, unlike success stories, becoming is hard, lonely and messy. And through this podcast, I'd like to share that you're not alone. Each of us tuning into this podcast are on our own journey of becoming our best versions. Each of us has our own struggles that we need to conquer our way. But some insights on how to conquer can only help accelerate our progress. I create this podcast not because I've arrived somewhere, but because my journey is long and I'd love to have some company as we figure life and living. I've been unhappy, confused, directionless, continuously busy but never satisfied, and not feeling at peace no matter how much I conquered in the world. And so I changed my life one liberating baby step at a time, and I'm still evolving. And unlike success stories that involves walking away from everything to discover yourself, I chose a different path. As much as I'd love to leave everything and go to the mountains, coming from a middle-class family, I know that that's not a practical approach. But you don't have to be in the Himalayas or retreat to forests to discover yourself. You can create a conducive inner ambience, and you can do that right where you are, amidst the hustle-bustle of work, family and life. And that's what Being Meraklis will give you, through insights, self-reflective questions and thought-provoking interviews. I hope to synthesize my learnings and experiments with life into simple, actionable steps that you can implement to own your everyday amidst all your other responsibilities and live life intentionally with all your attention, heart and devotion, the miraculous way. I read this saying a couple of weeks ago. It says, "The great arises out of small things that are honored and cared for." Everybody's life consists of the small things. The paradox is that the foundation for greatness is honoring the small things of the present moment instead of pursuing the idea of greatness. So instead of daydreaming about greatness, the Being Meraklis podcast will help you recognize the worth of the small things and help you incorporate them to enrich the experience of your personal and professional lives. After all, what we practice is what we become. Now the big question, who is it really for? It's for anybody seeking peace, joy and contentment in their lives while they chase successes in the outside world. To those who love the thrill of their chase towards their ambitions but would also like to find more joy in their day-to-day lives. To those who'd like to find that inner balance, meaning and fulfillment. To those who are becoming and aspire to be their best versions, to channel that magic within and show up authentically with confidence at work, in relationships and for themselves. To sum it up, to those who are works in progress. So this was a little tough to actually pen down, but I really thought hard about what really would you gain out of our podcast. And I decided that I'll design the formats as well in a way that it's easy for you to get that information quickly. So the Being Meraklis podcast will come out in 3 formats going forward. One will be Own Your Everyday. This will be a continuation of the current Being Meraklis podcast with deeper insights on how you can make your everyday better. 2, we'll have a series called Deep Dive. It'll be a mini podcast episode of lesser than 5 minutes maybe that will leave you with self-reflective questions for you to dive deeper and introspect to get better clarity. These are questions that I ask my coaching clients and have often led to remarkable insights, and I hope it helps you too. The 3rd will be a long format interview series where I interview miraculous beings I've come across this journey and share their insights, wisdom, perspectives towards living their best life. Episodes will release Sundays and Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. And I've had so much fun ideating this. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Do you have requests on topics that we should cover or people we should interview? Write to us at Being Meraklis across any of your social media handles. And lastly, don't forget to share this episode with friends and family who are works in progress and need to hear this too. Stay tuned and I hope you find this useful. Until then, this is Shweta Shivaraman signing off, hoping you have a brilliant week ahead.